Okay, so I'm going to actually go through the notes from Monday's lesson, just like I would in class. So what I want you guys to do is to listen to the notes, pause the video when you need to write down the notes. And if you get stuck or you're not sure of something, you're more than welcome to, go back, rewatch, so on and so forth. So the problem of the day from today is an error analysis. It says describe and correct the error in writing an equation of the line passes through the point 1 comma negative 5 has a slope of negative 2. Now, if you remember, our formula is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. This is point slope form, and we're going to actually use that in today's lesson as well. My slope is m. This is 1 is x1, negative 5 is y1. So I'm actually going to switch to typing here. When we plug this in, we can do y minus a negative 5. Minus a negative 5 turns into a plus 5. Slope is negative 2 times the quantity x minus 1. So here's what my answer should be. Y plus 5 equals negative 2 times the quantity x minus 1. What they messed up, as you can see, is that they kept negative 5. They forgot that it's minus a negative 5 or a positive 5. Now, why this is my problem of the day is because we're going to actually use point slope form in this lesson as well. So, lesson 4, write linear equations in standard form. Like I said, make sure you're taking notes. You pause the video when you need to copy them. Standard form is in the form ax plus by equals c. So example 1 states, write two equations in standard form that are equivalent to the given equation. In letter A, we have x plus 4y equals 3. What I'm going to do is actually go ahead, let's say we multiply everything, so that's parentheses. Let's say we multiply it by negative 2. So let's see what happens if we multiply everything by negative 2. We get negative 2x minus 8y equals negative 6. Here's a case of an equivalent equation in standard form. Standard form, by the way, means that x and y are on the left, a number is on the right, and in this form here. But I can multiply by whatever I want. As long as I'm consistent, multiply everything by that number, it's an equivalent equation. Now let me erase this here, and let's try, I wish, you guys could talk back and forth to give me a suggestion. But what if we multiply it by 3? Just don't forget you multiply everything by 3. In that case, I would have 3x plus 12y equals 9. So here are two instances that are equivalent equations for this. So you could multiply by anything, negative number, positive number, fraction. We'll talk about that in the next one. All right. So let's say in this case, let's multiply by 1/2. Once again, that means every single term is going to be multiplied by 1/2. So if I multiply by 1/2, I get x minus 3y equals 2. So there's an example of an equivalent equation given by that standard form. How about, let's try negative 1. Let's do another negative here. If I multiply by negative 1, the original, mind you, I get negative 2x plus 6y equals negative 4. So once again, now there are many opportunities. So you don't have to just do what I did. You can multiply by any number, any fraction, decimal, positive or negative number. And as long as you are consistent, multiply them all by that number, all three terms, you will get an equivalent equation. Now, here's where we get in where, we have a little less room for leeway. Example 2, write equation in standard form of the line that passes through the given point and has the given slope. We have done this many times before. Just to remind you, this is x1, this is y1, and we're going to plug it into that point slope formula from the beginning. And if you forget, pause the video and write this formula down here. Y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. So to start off, I have my m, my x, and y1. I'm actually going to type them in. It's usually a little bit nicer if I type them in. So you do y minus y1 is 2 equals m, which is -1, times the quantity x minus -3 minus -3 becomes a +3. Now, in the last lesson before we had a quiz, we would leave it like this, and that's my answer. We want to put it in standard form. So what we first have to do is distribute the -1 to all the terms. So let's rewrite y minus 2 equals -1x minus 3. And if you remember standard form, I'm going to do two things in one step here. We want x and y on the left, and we want all the numbers to the right. So x and y have to go to the left, so that's going to move over here. And all the numbers will move to the right. I'm going to transpose them over here. So what does that mean for us? Okay, so -1x comes over as +1x, or just positive x, plus y. Y stays exactly where it's at. And it's a positive. Now -3 was on the right, so it stays -3. When I bring the -2 over, it becomes a +2. Combine like terms. And here's my answer in standard form. So we did the first part of this, which was up here. Before, in the last lesson, we'd leave this as my answer, and that was it. But now we want to make sure it's in standard form. So once again, standard form, x and y on the left, all the numbers on the right. So what you do is pause the video and try this one yourself. And then when you're done with it, replay it so you can see the work. All right, so hopefully you pause the video. Y minus -1 or y plus 1 equals 3 times the quantity x minus 4. Once again, I'm going to distribute the 3x minus 12. Now don't forget, I will highlight this. We want the 3x to come over to the left, this negative and this +1 to come over as -1 on the other side. So 3x comes over as a -3x. Y is still a plus y, we leave it as is. -12 minus 1. And that's my answer in standard form. So once again, standard form is just the x and the y's are all on the left. All right. Now let's look at example 3. I'm given 2 points, so we have one extra step. If you remember all along in this chapter, we'll find slope first. Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Then we pick one of the points and then go to standard form. So first of all, this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So remember, you need to use your slope formula for this. So if you remember, it's y2 minus y1, -2 minus 1 over x2 minus x1. And let's make a little fraction here. Okay. And what we get -3. Ooh, might help if that was -3 over 1 equals -3. Oh, my little bar here, my little fraction bar. All right. So my slope is -3. So what I want to do in the next part, if you remember from before, we use the slope -3. Now it doesn't matter what point you pick. Let's try to be consistent. Let's just go with the first one. We're going to plug that in. And it's just now like before when we were solving. If we go back for a second, where we're doing y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. All right. So let's do the next one. So we do y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. All right. So let's see what we have here to continue on. Y minus 1 equals -3x plus 3. -3x comes over as +3x plus y equals, and then we get 3 plus 1, 3x plus y equals 4. And that's my answer in standard form. So doing the same thing over and over like the last slide, but we're just finding slope. So I want you to pause the video and I want you to try letter B, and then I'll have the work posted in a second. So pause it and try it yourself first. All right, hopefully you had a second to do this. You might want to pause the video and check your work. I found my slope. I used the point 3, -1. It doesn't matter which one you use. You'll still get it in standard form. It just might be like a multiple of the answer. So if you did a different way, make sure you ask me in class. There's not just one right way to do this. Okay, so let's move on from here. And actually, this should be example 4. I forgot there's a typo, so make sure that's a 4. Hopefully you guys can see that 4. All right, write an equation of the specified line. The point for the blue line we have, blue is the point 2, -4, right? Now, if you remember, it just matters which one's horizontal or vertical. One's an X or Y. We're not going to use both points. But you see how the blue line is a horizontal line. So if it's horizontal, I am actually going to use the Y. Horizontal lines cut through the y-axis. So it's y equals -4. And believe it or not, that is it. The hard part is knowing, is it horizontal or vertical? If it's horizontal, it's the y coordinate of the ordered pair. And if it's the vertical line, it's the x coordinate of the ordered pair. So let's see, the red point is what? 4, 1. All right. This is a vertical line. So I'm going to use x equals 4. And that's it. That's my answer. So like I said, no math really involved. You just have to know if it's horizontal. Do you see how it cuts through? This is the y-axis here. That's why I use the y-ordered pair. And the red line is vertical. It cuts through the x-axis. And that's how you come up with your answers. Now, in the last one today, this is example 5. Fix that. It says, find the missing coefficient in the equation of the line shown. Write the completed equation. All right, so we have this line. And you see how we have an ordered pair -1, 0? Well, -1 is going to be my x. And 0 is going to be my y. I'm going to plug them into this equation, and I'll be left with a to solve. So let's see what happens. A times -1 plus 3 times 0 equals 2. And if you remember, 3 times 0 is just 0, so that's going to go away. A times -1, I like to put the coefficient first. So -1a equals 2. When I divide by -1, I just get a equals -2. Now, I found what a should be. I found the missing coefficient. But if you read, it says write the completed equation. So my final answer is plugging a back in. So I get 2x plus 3y equals 2. And that is it. Make sure you do the assignment that corresponds to this one. I believe it's assignment 6. If you have questions, make sure you ask me when you guys see me next.